Good day, guys. Alright, let's continue with the cleaning of the GPU. I did mention in the previous video that the tools that you need, some tips. Alright, this will be a general cleaning way of cleaning the GPU. Alright, so let's continue. For screws, careful when opening this, not too much pressure. Put the screws in one place. If you open it, unscrew X way or turn. Alright, screws are off. Careful when you open it. So as you can see, thermalpaste is almost dried up and became hard. A lot of dust, as you can see. I need to remove this. This is not supposed to be here. It's supposed to be there. Right, just one part. Remember to disconnect the power for the fans. Okay. Power or cable for the fans. Okay, this part is off. So let's put it aside. Right, next part is to detach the heatsink from the fan. The screws is at the side. And remember not to use the screws. When you unscrew it, put it in one place. Now this is what I came across only for P106 so far. If you can see, the wires came out from the heatsink plates. Here also the wires came out from a heatsink blade, so keep that in mind. Right, the remaining screws. As you can see, dust is very. It's a lot of dust. It's a lot of dust. Obviously, every GPU is different, so you have to keep it in mind and improvise on how to clean it. As you can see, a lot of dust. Alright, let's put it aside. Let's put it aside. Okay, and also back of the fans is also dusty. In any case, let's take it one step at a time. Alright, let's clean the heatsink first. I use the vacuum cleaner first. So just vacuum all the dust that you can see without touching these thermal pads. The next one is I'll use a brush to brush those typical dust. I'll be brushing this at a sink because dust it's not good to breathe in the dust. So I'll go to the sink and brush this typical dust off. Right. Uh, I brush it off. The remaining of the dust. It's not a perfect job, but most of the dust is brushed off. So try to get as much of dust off as possible. And oh, by the way, the remaining of the dust, I just brush it off like this, horizontally, or is it vertically? But in any case, this way, I brush it off. The side part also, side part, in between the pipes, the heat pipes. Can this part also in between if you can, and also this part as well. So this okay, brush is done. For the thermal tips, thermal paste, I will get it off later. Right. So this part, remember, if you brush the dust in between the thermal pads, just barely touching the pads. If you brush it, barely touching the pads. Alright, so that's one part, the heatsink part. Now we go to the board part. As you can see, dust is accumulated a lot. Right, so vacuum time. remember when you vacuum the board or brushing the board, do not touch the processor part. Other than that, just vacuum lightly. Um, do not put too much strength into sucking it. Just slightly on the board. Get as much dust as possible can, possibly can. Right. I'll go to the sink again and brush off with the brush. The reason I go to the sink is to get the dust off, and the dust will be accumulated in the sink, and easily I just drain it with water. All right, off to the sink. Okay, brushing is done. Looks a little bit better, a little bit cleaner. All right, next is the fans. Okay. All right. Let's take out the fan first. So the screws for the fans is 1, 2, and 3. So just unscrew it. Now this is where a small screwdriver comes in handy because the blades are very close together. So if you use a big screwdriver, it might not fit. Okay, one off. These blades are very close together. Okay, another one off. Remember to put the screws close together. Um, Brush the screws off dust. Okay. And 3 screws. Brushing off the screws from dust. Alright, so in order to This is a different connection. As you can see, all the wires are connected without any connectors. All the wires connected without any connectors. So it just this will be a little bit difficult to clean. I have spare fans, but this fan is still good. So I do not wish to. I don't want to waste the fan. But then again, this is difficult to clean. Oh well, taking time. Alright, so next is the brushing. Back to the sinky. Alright, brushing is done. Next is wiping it, just to get the extra dust away. This is a special different type of cloth usually used for wiping laptop screens, that sort of stuff. Because it's a different type of cloth. The dust will be trapped on the cloth, so it will be easier to clean. This is just optional. Optional if you want to use. If you want to clean the components with this cloth, it's also optional. The cloth easily traps dust and easily um, clean afterwards with water. Now, some of you might think, why don't I just use the blower, the electrical blower? Well, first of all, I don't have that blower. Number two, the blower is only able to blow certain amount of dust, but it's an easy. You, the blower will make the cleaning easy. You don't have to open the GPU, assemble the GPU, and clean it manually, step by step like this. But that's the pros of for the blower. But the cons is not all the dust is able to be cleaned by using the blower. So there's pros and cons. For this manual type, like I'm using here, like I'm doing here, um, it's tedious work. Yes, it's a tedious work, but in my opinion, most of the dust will be able, I will be able to get most of the dust out. So that's the pros of it. It's tedious, yes, but just for the demonstration yeah, demonstration. I'm using I'm using this way to clean it. So as you can see, it's dust easily trapped on the cloth. Afterwards, just wash it, um, back as new. Well, not exactly back as new, but uh, it will be clean again. Cloth will be clean again. Speaking of the blower, I might as well get a blower in the future. It will make my work easier, faster and easier. That's something to consider. Okay, one fan is done. The other fan. This is tedious work, I agree, but for the sake of demonstration of how to manually um, clean the GPU, every part of it, not every part literally, but metaphorically, every part of it.